I am making a lot of art lately, but it seems like so much of my art making time is being filmed, because it is. But last week, one night, I was just exhausted and I needed some creative self-care art making time that was just for me. And I started making lines. I enjoyed it so much that I decided it would be our project this week. Welcome to Better with Art. I'm Melinda, and I'm here to encourage you to reclaim your creativity and practice creative self-care with weekly small art prompts that can be done in an art journal or on paper if you don't have one. Let's make some art because we are better with art. Here are the lines I created, all cozy, and I really like how they turned out, and I really enjoyed how they felt in the making. The filming of this week's video, well, didn't go as smoothly as I would have liked, but I'll get more into that later. I started making, well, it's not a swirl. It's kind of like a snail shell, one of those shapes, but it's not like a swirl because it's straight, not curved. I wonder how many times I have said in one of my videos, I don't know the right word to use for that. And that's okay. I started with these lines, sort of concentric. But I didn't stay with that. I then moved on to connecting them, stopping and starting, just whatever I felt like felt good or looked interesting. To be honest, by this point, I'd already tightened up a bit. My phone kept going off. There was just a lot going on that morning. I was dealing with various messages and phone calls. So there were lots of stops and starts that are kind of mushed together, and conversations being held as I kept making my lines and shapes. I was feeling rather stressed and quite tense. But it did feel good to just keep making the lines. I could forget about the fact that it was being filmed and I could just make. I wasn't all curled up cozy in my bed like I was with the lines that inspired this particular project, but it was one of those times when the act of art making felt so helpful, beneficial, healthful, relaxing. And to be honest, I tend to focus better if I have to listen to a conversation or if I've been in like a Zoom meeting. If I can have my hands busy with something that doesn't take a lot of mental energy, I can focus better. So there's also that aspect. As always, I like to share Better with Art projects that can be done whether you have just 5 minutes or you have longer to just take your time and do more. This is also a project, as I try to do, where if you just have 5 minutes now and you might have 5 minutes later or another day, you can pick up where you left off. You don't need to have a lot of spare time to practice creative self-care. And again, I am using just a pen. This is an art pen, if you will. But you can use whatever pen you have and whatever color you would like. I like the black for when I'm doing lines. I will have a link in the description to this particular pen and maybe some others because I try to pull ones that I have tried that are currently on sale when the video goes live, as well as this art journal, which is ideal for my type of art journaling, where sometimes we use wet media, dry media, layered media. The pages hold up really well. If you are looking for a different art journal, I do give more details about the paperweight in the description also. This particular art journal is sold in a 3-pack, and you might not want to invest in a 3-pack, but as the 3-pack, it still is the best value for paper of this weight and smoothness that works for all of the stuff I have put them through in my own personal art journal and in my art journal at the library where I work. Also, if you were looking for something and buy something different, if there's an option between a hot press and a cold press, get hot pressed if you are going to be using pens and Sharpies, because the texture of the cold press pages, while really cool for some things, will be really hard on the tips of your markers and pens. If all you can invest in right now instead of an art journal is paper, that is fine also. Though I would suggest either getting a folder or making a folder so you can enjoy the benefit of the privacy of an art journal. So, as well as not needing a lot of spare time to practice creative self-care, you don't need to spend a lot of money to reclaim your creativity. One thing I have found with a tight budget and loving to make art is finding out what you enjoy before investing money that may be better spent elsewhere, but also not just denying yourself everything. It's a balancing act, and that's okay. Just like it's okay that I was feeling these lines were a little janglier than my last ones, and I wasn't happy with how the bottom was getting all, broken up, separate, there are a lot of the same type of line across the bottom. I got sort of stuck. But again, it's okay. It's my art journal, and our art journals are a safe place to express ourselves and experiment without fear of what others think. The important thing isn't the product, it's the process. And I found this process, even when it wasn't going as well as I would have liked it to, and my life wasn't going as well as I would have liked it to. It was relaxing and mind calming and de-stressing. It didn't remove all of my stress, of course. However, there were moments as I made this where it could just wash away for a little bit. We all need that. And we need to find flow. We need to give ourselves opportunity to find that artistic flow where all of the noise quiets. All the noise from outside and noise from inside. Those spinning thoughts that can be so exhausting. This was another week to just keep making lines. Well, this is another week to just keep making lines. And these are a bit different than any lines I have made before, and definitely different from any that I have shared with Better With Art or previously in the 52-week art journal journey, at least as far as I can remember at the moment. This is just simple and non-taxing for a tired mind and body. It's the time of year when, for some people, it can be the hardest time of year for various reasons. And for most of us, it is also stressful in various ways. It would be awesome if it could just be magic, if it could just be loving, peaceful. Art making is a way to find some peace and quiet in the chaos. This particular process is continuing to make line segments. We've had other projects where we kind of do the same thing over and over again. That repetitive motion is a good way to find that flow. I don't think I will ever be able to say it enough how transformative making the choice to prioritize taking time to make art was. And that's why I am here with this video and all of the other Better with Art videos and the 52-week art journal journey, to encourage you to take the time in the hopes that as many people as possible will find what I have found. If you aren't taking the time to regularly make art, what are the hang-ups for you? I understand that making physical art isn't everyone's thing, but we all have a need to express creativity in ways that we find meaningful and enjoy. And if making art is one of yours, why aren't you making it? Here's the journaling part of that. Yes, consider what your hang-up is. What is your reason? What is keeping you from making art? And the mental health benefits that making art has. And what might your life look like a year from now if you decide to stop letting that thing keep you from making art? As I said, making art every day was transformative for me. For me, it was a 100-day project. It allowed me to give myself permission to make art every day. And for me, there was no turning back. Most of us don't start a YouTube channel for it, though. So you might not have the same type of accountability moving forward. And what will keep you going when you don't have that type of motivation? What can you tell yourself, remind yourself, when you fall into that trap that I did, where it always seemed there was something more important to do? I felt guilty taking the time to make art, even though I knew how balancing it was and how good it was for my mental health. Don't do what I did. In this week's journaling, give yourself some ammunition to fight back against those thoughts that tell you that it's a waste of time, because it is great for our mental health, and our mental health is very important. I will be back next week with another small art and journaling prompt. In the meantime, enjoy relaxing with some lines or some other creative self-care art making that works for your brain. And remember that taking time to make art is not a waste of time. I appreciate the opportunity to remind you of that and encourage you to take time to practice creative self-care with art making. And if you haven't been making art, to encourage you to reclaim your creativity. If you are feeling inspired or encouraged to make some art of your own, give me a thumbs up. Kind comments are always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe. If you'd like to join my slowly growing online Better with Art community private Facebook group, there will be a link in the description. You will also find links to sign up to be notified of upcoming Out of My Art Journal art making in-person and online workshops. The links I mentioned to products and my slowly growing Amazon storefront. The last part of this project, this process, is choosing some of the little shapes. I particularly went for triangles in my first version of this, but I didn't have as many triangles when I went through this time. My lines were different, as I said, a little more jangled as my nerves were a little more jangled. But yes, the next step is to pick some spots to just color in.